If Tim Tszyu gets knocked out, I'm going to say, what was I thinking? Of course. But Errol Spence, 3-year layoff now, right? After he got destroyed by Terence Crawford, which, of course, Terence Crawford's a great fighter, so no shame in that. But the kind of fight that can really kill confidence, I think back to like Jeff Lacey and Joe Calzaghe. And he wasn't the same after the car crash. So you have the car crash, you have the Crawford fight, you have another 3-year layoff, and now the fight was supposed to be at 158 catchweight, Tim. Then they moved it to, Spence wanted to move it to 160. This doesn't scream to me somebody that's taking it serious and really loves fighting.
Sure. No, but no one was saying like, oh, it was a car accident, it was a car accident. I knew they was gonna use that as an excuse because this guy, he comes back after a year after the car accident. He fights Danny Garcia.
And does work on him.
And then
was he as good as before the car accident? By the way,
oh, he looked great.
Hold on. Wait, hold on one second.
Oh, he looked good.
That fight. Guys, hold on one second. Errol Spence was still excellent when he Terence Crawford. What the fight shows is that on his best day, Spence was never going to beat Terence Crawford.
I understand that.
However, just as a statement of fact, he did not look quite the same after the accident to me. If he looked exactly the same to you, okay. I thought he was 80% of what he was.
He took Ugas' eye, right? Didn't he?
Yeah, he had trouble with Ugas.
Yep. So I'm just saying.
It wasn't an offender bender.
Crawford is like an all-time great, man, fighter, period. Yeah. And then Spence has gone on record and said that he didn't train for the fight, and he talked about
that's on him.
For months, I've been thinking and feeling Errol Spence wins this fight. There's no way Tim Tszyu can beat him. You know, the experience and, you know, Errol's a little more dynamic, kind of list goes on. I get here, and right before I got here, like I'm on the plane, I'm playing the fight in my mind, and I'm just like, man, I see Tim beating Errol Spence Jr.
It's probably going to be a slugfest.
Yeah, it's going to be a slugfest.
It's going to be a slugfest. Who are you picking in the fight?
Man, it's a hard call, but I'm going with Errol. I'm hoping Errol can withstand the onslaught that Tszyu going to probably put out early, because if you get past 4 or 5 rounds, Errol definitely going to beat him, because Errol, to me, is stronger later than anybody fighting.
Calculated, but he's got to test him early. He's wondering, hey, Errol, how does this feel after so long? You like this? You know? Give him a couple of leather sandwiches and see how he likes that. You know, when you get a punch in the face after a while out, when you're used to getting punched in the face, it doesn't hurt. It really doesn't hurt. It frustrates you. The pain doesn't, you don't feel the pain till later. Broken bones, no matter what. You know, when you hit with a body shot, it hurts. But I think if you can crack him and just land a couple of big blows, because when you're under the bright lights and you get hit with a big, heavy shot.
The countdown is almost over, and now boxing experts are revealing their final predictions for Errol Spence Jr. versus Tim Tszyu in a fight packed with danger, pressure, and unanswered questions.
And Fennec was more of a physical guy, kind of like Tszyu. Was a physical, straightforward, physical guy. Was in real good shape. He was tough, and he out physical. He outstrengthed you, in those kind of dimensions when he could. And I don't know I don't know what else he would be bringing to it other than the things that work for him. But I've seen former fighters where they impose not only their style on a guy, but they try to impose the way that their will and the way they trained. And sometimes it winds up being counterproductive.
Renowned trainer and analyst Teddy Atlas has finally shared his thoughts, revealing his prediction for how the explosive showdown between Spence and Tszyu could unfold.
But he's been active. He had a couple wins in between his last loss, build-up wins, confidence builders, all that stuff.
5 years younger.
5 years younger, and he's he's again natural bigger guy. He's been active. I mean, we already got a little bit of a peek into what inactivity does. It was 2 years longer, and it was a different, it's a different sport. But it's a combat sport. It's UFC, of course. But Conor McGregor, 5 years off, you can't do it.
The world wants to witness Spence's comeback and see his condition after time away. He promises to dominate Tszyu and respond strongly to every moment of aggression.
It's definitely gonna be a dope fight. It's gonna be an action-packed fight.
Yeah.
Tim is a guy you know, to come forward. He said it before, you know, he gonna punish me, things like that. So, you know, so I'm looking forward to, you know, that type of aggression.
Yeah.
It's gonna be a dope fight. I'm put on a show.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah, I straight gonna be in for it.
Okay, win, lose, or draw. Where's the future?
On the other hand, his longtime past opponent Shawn Porter believes Tim Tszyu could have the upper hand against Spence for several key reasons.
You know, you're thinking 3 years, you get rest, but you're also thinking 3 years, you're not putting any oil in it, you know what I mean? You're not running that gas, you know? So I venture to believe that the 3 years of work that Tim's been putting in could be a little more detrimental to him at this point. And like I like to say about Errol, he's not a rhythm fighter. He's not somebody that has tremendous speed or quickness, and if it's not being used, he loses it, you know? He kind of has always just been a really good, simply good boxer, you know? So, how you doing, sir? So he'll be all right, yeah.
For the loser, like what happens? Like,
for the loser.
Mentioned the other day, like retirement. Is that the future for the guy that?
I mean, I think retirement, to be honest with you, is realistic for both these guys. Win, lose, or draw for both of them. You know, we don't know what Errol really wants to do.
Breaking down the styles, Porter also reveals his prediction on how both fighters are expected to approach the fight and match up against each other inside the ring.
You know, I'll give you what wrinkle I think both these guys are going to have, right? Both these guys have always been like this. You know, they're going right at their opponent, right in their face. There's not a lot of stepping around. I'm willing to bet Errol uses his jab more. I'm willing to bet Errol takes a step back, takes steps to the side, and tries to control the pace of the fight from there. Not because he has to do that, but because, you know, when you're working with Ronnie Shields, Ronnie's looking for the best way for you to win the fight without receiving damage and, you know, basically conquering your opponent. I got a feeling that's the wrinkle for Errol. Errol's going to use his jab, he's going to step around, and then eventually he's going to work in the 1-2s and the body work.
For many people, Errol Spence Jr.'s long layoff remains the biggest concern, with doubts that his inactivity could hurt him. However, Tim Bradley presents a different perspective. He insists that looking at Tim Tszyu last 3 years tells another story, with disappointing results raising questions. Meanwhile, he believes Spence has spent that time working harder, training, and recovering, showing greater readiness and sharpness than his opponent.
And then Spence has gone on record and said that he didn't train for the fight, and he talked about...
That's on him.
I get it.
Should have trained.
But this is the thing, 50-50 fight, I understand why. You know, I look, if you take the last 3 years, right? Look at Tim Tszyu career, okay? The last 3 years.
He gets his ass whooping.
Hello?
He been losing.
Hello?
He been losing.
Hello? Now look at Errol Spence's last 3 years. Hey, he been chilling, he been recovering, he's been letting his body rest, you know what I mean? He's been training, he's been looking to come back, right? And then remember the point that you made early on and saying like, you need guys to like get you up? Yeah, that's the reason why he's facing a Tim Tszyu, because he knows-
In Australia, right.
In Australia, in his home turf, because he knows that's what he needs to get his body
But
up,
wait a minute,
get
Tim,
himself
there's a
up
flip
and
side
up
to that.
Bradley believes Tim Tszyu chin remains a major question, while Max Kellerman highlights that before the Fundora fight, Tim had been performing impressively and proving his toughness. He believes Tim's character speaks volumes and shows he is far from the level of a jabroni as suggested by Bradley. Bradley, however, rejects that argument, insisting the fight is not only about character, but also about what remains physically inside the body.
Boxing is way better when Errol Spence Jr. is involved.
Absolutely.
Facts. One thing about calling.
Put the house on Errol.
Okay, you're gonna walk back that Tim Tszyu jabroni thing. I'll tell you why. Whatever quality you think he is now, Tim Tszyu represented the best of boxing until the Fundora cut. Now, he did not respond to adversity well, but until then, he was willing to fight guys. He wasn't just coasting on his father's name. He was fighting very tough. When he got cut, he continued to fight for the 12 rounds, although he did not fight well, and since then hasn't looked great. That's true. But Tim Tszyu's character, I think, is hard to impugn. You don't think so?
No, I think he has a character, but I think you can have the mindset as well, but the body and everything else can go. So I think he's chinny. I don't think he has a chin. I really don't.
Furthermore, Bradley insists this fight could become a competitive 50-50 battle, where if neither fighter can break the other down, the contest may come down to the final rounds. He also highlights that Tim's resume appears weaker in his eyes. Despite that, he believes both Tszyu and Spence are standing at important crossroads in their careers, making this matchup even more significant.
His defense is not that great. He keeps his head on that line all the time. He gets hit with a big shot, he goes down. Martinsaliev knocked him out, bro. Stopped him.
But Martinsaliev good.
And then you know, I think about PTSD.
We got Josh Kelly coming up. Josh Kelly's biggest win against Martinsaliev.
Exactly.
And nobody wanted to fight him.
Martinsaliev
dropped him. Like, you know, Martinsaliv's a tough guy. Nobody wanted to fight him.
What concerns me, I hear you on Tszyu, I do. What concerns me is Spence. He's saying he doesn't know if he wants to fight after this fight. He hasn't fought in 3 years. He's going up 2 weight classes.
I feel like both guys are at the crossroads.
Yeah,
and that's the reason why it's 50-50. You know what I mean? I think that Tim Tszyu can be very well at the end of his career. If he can't beat a guy that's been off for 3 years like y'all talking about, then what?
It's a wrap.
Then he's a wrap.
Accept it.
But the legendary Roy Jones Jr. is leaning strongly towards Spence, while admitting that picking a winner is difficult due to the competitive nature of the matchup. He believes that once Spence gets past the opening 5 or 6 rounds, he will eventually break down and defeat Tim. However, Jones feels Tszyu's best chance is to make a statement early and finish the fight before reaching that stage.
It's probably going to be a slugfest.
Yeah, it's going to be a slugfest.
It's going to be a slugfest. Who are you picking in the fight?
Man, it's a hard call, but I'm going with Errol. I'm hoping Errol can withstand the onslaught that Tszyu going to probably put up early, because if you get past 4 or 5 rounds, Errol definitely going to beat him, because Errol, to me, is stronger later than anybody fighting. You get him past round 6, and you got a problem in your hand. I don't care who it is, especially if he ain't beat it up or nothing in the face. If you get to round 6, you got a problem, because that's when he starts to come alive.
Yeah.
Ugas.
Right, that's Ugas.
As a supporter of Errol Spence Jr. since the fight was announced, he has watched closely as the situation has developed. Shawn Porter now appears to be leaning toward Tim Tszyu, and the reason behind his change is a statement from Tim that made him rethink his initial support for Spence. He believes Tszyu mindset and approach could be the difference, giving him the edge to secure victory.
When they were discussing it, when it was coming together.
And it's like, even last week, I'm like, yeah, Errol, you know what I mean? Man, I'm on the plane. And, you know, you got 16 hours to just sit around and think. And it's like, Tim says he wants to go across the ring and punch Errol Spence in the mouth. And I'm like, the craziest thing is that could work. And because of everything that Errol's been through, because of the 3-year layoff, and, you know, you don't know how built up the body is at this point in time, you're wondering, like, is punching Errol in the mouth something that could really get him over the top in this fight?
Shawn Porter believes Spence's punch resistance may not be at the same level it once was, raising questions about how much he has left after such a long layoff. He also revealed his round prediction, insisting the fight will not reach the final bell. In Porter's view, a stoppage is coming, and he has already identified the round where he expects the decisive moment to arrive.
That punch resistance may not be there.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? You're asking if this is going to be a dogfight or a chess match. I truly think this is going to become either you get me or I get you. This fight's not going the distance. That's the most I could predict about this fight.
It's not going the distance.
It's not going the distance.
You know what? I'm going to agree with you. I agree with you.
If somehow it went the distance, it would be like a Castillo and Corrales, like where these guys are bashing each other. Yeah. And, you know, it's like kind of scary near the end, you know?
Give me a round. Where's it stop? 5 or 6?
7.
Danny Green has also been brought into the discussion. Many believe this situation could unfold like Danny pulled off the biggest upset against Jones. Andre Durrell has shared his thoughts on the comparison, explaining his perspective on why he feels the current scenario could point towards Spence suffering a defeat. His analysis adds another layer to the growing debate.
This can happen. Or no, it's just Errol just gonna just...
Yeah. I feel that, again, the punishment happening, you know. Could it be soon? Absolutely. You know, and then, you know, just like Roy, he might not see this in his head, but his brain remembers the kind of punishment he took, you know. So when he get in there and he take them shots, whether he thinks he's ready for it or not, his brain, his screening might not be. You know what I'm saying? So all I can do is hope for the best, man. But, you know, there's nothing special, you know, in regards to his skill set, right? Again, he's just a come-forward fighter, and he's decent, and what he does is he's a decent boxer.
The goals for both fighters have already been set, with Fundora, Xander, or Boots potentially waiting as the next challenge. However, Andre Durrell believes this fight could become the final chapter of Spence's career. In his view, Spence should consider hanging up the gloves and retiring, as he feels the former champion has already achieved almost everything possible on boxing's biggest stages.
Could be potentially dangerous. Again, it's 50-50, man. This could be Tim Tszyu's fight, his comeback, you know what I'm saying, putting him back on the map. And this could be Errol Spence's comeback, putting him back on the map. But a loss of both of these boys, even a close fight or the wrong fight, tell us what we need to know about Spence. It might be time for him to hang it up, man. He should have been comfortable with hanging it up right now. He didn't need a win, or he doesn't need a win to sell off into the sunset. You did it all. You know what I'm saying? I think I had a great career, and I'm nowhere near what this man did in his career. You know what I'm saying? So some fighters just got to learn how to come to terms with that, but you can only hope for the best.
Surprisingly, Danny Green has shared his thoughts, favoring Tim Tszyu to stop Spence and questioning him early. According to Green, the long layoff is not ideal for Spence. Although time away can sometimes help fighters return stronger, he believes everything will be decided once they step inside the ring. He also shared his advice on what Tszyu must do to pull off the upset.
And so that inactivity is difficult, and it can work in some guys' favour and it can work against some guys. So it's when the bell goes, that's when we're going to find out. After a couple of rounds, we'll know what kind of Errol Spence is here, and I expect Tim to question what kind of Errol Spence is here pretty early.
If you were in Tim Tszyu's corner, what does Tim Tszyu need to do to win this fight?
I think be calculated, but look, I'm going to say something that's kind of it's contradictory. Be calculated, but he's got to test him early. He's wondering, hey Errol, how does this feel after so long? You like this?
Green envisions a brutal outcome for Spence. He believes active fighters gradually adapt to taking punches, but long periods of inactivity can take that sharpness away. According to Green, Spence may not have enough time to react once Tszyu begins throwing full power shots. He argues that even one clean punch can overwhelm an inactive fighter, and he believes that is exactly what could happen in this fight.
Give him a couple of you know, leather sandwiches and see how he likes that. You know, when you get a punch in the face after a while out, when you're used to getting punched in the face, it doesn't hurt. It really doesn't hurt. It frustrates you. The pain doesn't. You don't feel the pain till later. Broken bones, no matter what. You know, when you hit with a body shot, it hurts. But I think if you can crack him and just land a couple of big blows, because when you're under the bright lights and you get hit with a big heavy shot, it fucking stuns you. You're stunned. Your legs are stunned. It's like, whoa. And you stop hearing things. Kind of goes silent. You go into this vortex. Everything just goes.
On the other hand, Showbiz the Adult has raised concerns for Tim rather than Spence. He believes the real danger lies with Tszyu after the punishment he absorbed against Sebastian Fundora and in recent fights. According to Showbiz, that kind of damage can leave lasting effects. While Tim still appears willing to fight anyone, he believes deep down the accumulated punishment could eventually become too much to overcome.
Have you guys really been watching Tim Tszyu? And I'm really more concerned about Tim Tszyu than I am Errol Spence. Since that first fight with Fundora, which was one of the best fights that year, blood everywhere, all that, he's really been pretty damaged to me. Like, if you look at the second fight where he had to really quit on his stool, he was getting destroyed there. And then to follow that up against Murdazaliev, and all the times he kissed the canvas, it was really crucial. And put a pin in that. When you look at the Murdazaliev fight, what punch was really hurting Tim Tszyu? The left hook. And we all know Errol the True Spence is southpaw.
Showbiz, the adult, believes activity only matters if the performances back it up. He points out that Spence returned from his car accident, delivered impressive wins, and only lost to Terrence Crawford. In contrast, Tim stayed active but has recently absorbed back-to-back brutal punishment. According to Showbiz, those performances matter more than activity alone, and he believes Spence's southpaw style will be enough to defeat Tszyu.
And when you think about Errol Spence, yeah, the car crash, but he fought 3 times after that. He fought Danny Swift Garcia, beat him. He fought Ugas, he stopped him, and then he fought Bud Crawford, and we all know what happened there. And it was a devastating loss, but he took 3 years off to recover. And I think those were like crucial years that helped him recover. For Tim Tszyu, we call him Tszyu because of his activity. He just stayed active, and it was one brutalizing fight after the other. Even his last fight, in which he won by decision, I think the guy was Nurya. I forgot how to pronounce his name. But that guy, I mean, he was cut there. I think it was from a head clash, but it ended up looking kind of like a war when it shouldn't have been.
According to Showbiz, the adult, Tim Tszyu's style is tailor-made for Spence to handle. He believes the former champion has all the tools needed to break him down and earn the victory. Showbiz also questions whether Tim's recent run of punishing fights has taken too much out of him. In his view, that accumulated damage could leave Tszyu vulnerable to another brutal night inside the ring.
Oh, Tszyu, he has some offense left, right? I mean, he could really punch, and he has some decent reflexes as far as like his punching mechanics. I just think the way Errol Spence is built, right, to catch those shots and walk you down if you don't have like swift feet, I think Tszyu may just be tailor-made for Errol Spence's style, especially with Ronnie Shields. But I'd love to know what y'all think. Comments below. Showbiz the adult. I know this is a take that's odd. I know I'm known for thinking outside the box. Many people think it's extremely strange, and they kind of crash out on me because of that. But honestly, bro, out of the two, I think it's an interesting argument that Tszyu may be more damaged than Errol Spence. Showbiz adult, I'm out.
Adding another perspective, Gabriela Fundora has shared her thoughts on the highly anticipated clash between Spence and Tszyu. She believes her brother Sebastian Fundora's victory exposed important weaknesses in Tim's game, but the biggest question remains whether Spence can capitalize after a long layoff. With both fighters facing major challenges, Gabriela sees this as a crucial test that could reveal exactly where they stand at this stage of their careers.
I think Tszyu's been more active, obviously, and it's just he'll be in his home place, so that might give him a little more boost of confidence, and it's just, I think, just what's his name? Yeah, Tszyu has been more active.
So you think is that his activity versus Spence's inactivity is what's basically going to carry the fight?
I think so, because this is not a tune-up fight for Spence or anything.
No,
it's directly back into the fire. If he can get the job done, that'll be another moment, another one in like you said, in the mix. But
the predictions are split, the debate is heating up, and now only one question remains. Will Errol Spence Jr. make a statement in his long-awaited comeback, or will Tim Tszyu prove the experts wrong once again? Share your prediction in the comments, and if you enjoy honest boxing breakdowns and the latest fight news, be sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss an update.